We represent all those who have also went through the process and received no justice.
Tonight, the family of Colten Boushie, the 22-year-old Cree youth fatally shot in the head by Gerald Stanley, speaks out from Parliament Hill.
The killing of Colton brought back so many bad memories for me.
And the not guilty verdict of Gerald Stanley triggers a Mohawk Elder during the opening of the Quebec Inquiry. Good evening. Welcome to APTN National News. I'm Dennis Ward. It was day 2 of meetings between the family of Colten Boushie and the Prime Minister and his cabinet. Ministers Goodale and Wilson-Raybould faced reporters. Senator from Saskatchewan urged action. But as Todd Lamoran reports, it was Colton's mother holding up his photograph that caught most of the attention.
I don't really have anything to say, but I am very, very honored to be here. And I'm happy that we got to meet the Prime Minister. And we continue praying that something is done and that we could go home and tell the people that we tried hard. And we're still going to keep trying, and we're going to keep going, and this ain't going to stop.
Senator Lillian Dick called the Gerald Stanley not guilty verdict classic racism.
This whole thing was imbued with racism from day one. The moment they started talking to Debbie Baptiste, the moment that happened, the way the police handled the evidence, and, there was just failure after failure after failure to take Colton's death seriously.
Dick chairs the Senate Committee on Aboriginal Affairs. She has simple advice to the government.
I would suggest they do something that's concrete and easy, because it's not just Indigenous people who are upset. It's all Canadians. We've lost faith in our justice system. And if we lose faith in our justice system, then, chaos ensues.
Justice Minister Jody Wilson-Raybould says she will look at eliminating the process that many Canadians say kept Indigenous people off Gerald Stanley's jury.
We can make changes to the criminal code to eliminate peremptory challenges, but we have to work with the provinces and territories to ensure that there are Indigenous peoples that are in the jury pool, how they notify those individuals.
The Boushie family says the RCMP treated them like they were the perpetrators from day one of their investigation. Public Safety Minister Ralph Goodale said filing a complaint is the way to go.
The family started the process, as well they should, and they've gone through the first part of it. There are other stages yet to go.
For Senator Dick, the verdict has made it difficult to talk about reconciliation.
I hear a lot of people, my friends, and I've seen on social media, where people are saying, don't even use that word anymore. Don't even say reconciliation, because we are so fed up with the racism. On the other hand, this gives us the opportunity to say, yes, racism exists, and yes, to meet reconciliation and to get a nation-to-nation relationship, we cannot forget about the racism by individuals and by systemic racism.
Senator Kim Pate will also be holding a press conference with the Boushie family Wednesday morning. Todd Lamoran, APTN National News, Ottawa.
Now here is more of the press conference from today in Ottawa when Colten Boushie's supporters took questions.
What's going to stay with you from these conversations?
The most significant thing is that there was a general consensus that there are systemic issues regarding Indigenous people in the judicial system, and that each person has promised to work with us to make concrete changes within the system. And for that's exactly what we came here for. And so
there are other families who unfortunately have been through the justice system and also did not feel like they got justice, and they didn't have the chance to meet with the Prime Minister and other ministers. And I'm just wondering, what do you make of the opportunity that you've had to meet with these leaders?
Throughout this entire ordeal, this entire experience, We've had numerous families reach out to us and share their hardships, their trauma, and their losses as well. They've shared their support and understanding and sent prayers in our direction. And as we stand here, we don't just speak for my brother Colton. We represent all those who have also went through the process and received no justice and faced all the systemic discrimination that we've endured. We stand here for them, and that's what Justice for Colton is about.
I understand you met with some Conservative members as well. Can you tell us what their response was?
Everybody was very open. Oh, actually, no, we didn't meet with any Conservatives at all.
Oh, no Conservative MPs? I understood that you met with 3 today. No?
No.
Are they coming up, those meetings?
I don't think they are scheduled yet.
Thank you.
Can I ask, some people are interpreting the fact that you've met with the Prime Minister and several cabinet ministers as the government taking sides in this court case, and I wonder how you feel about that.
The way I see it is that they're human beings, and they're acknowledging that Colton was a human being, and they see the loss and the pain that we've endured, and by them reaching out, that's them reaching out as human beings and connecting with us upon our pain and hearing our story. That's what it should be about.
But is there a risk that by doing so, it might interfere with a possible appeal?
There has been no talk of an appeal with these meetings, so we're letting that system play itself out.
Now to Vancouver and the constituency office of Justice Minister Jody Wilson-Raybould, where a diverse crowd rallied today asking her to use her voice for change. APTN's Tina House has the story.
Justice for Colton! Justice for Colton! Justice for Colton!
Over 100 people of all nationalities gathered outside of the constituency office of Justice Minister Jody Wilson-Raybould to add, in their words, pressure to the federal government to overhaul the justice system.
This is the time for our relative Jody to step forward and make the necessary changes to our system.
Last weekend, Minister of Justice Jody Wilson-Raybould sent out a tweet after the jury found Gerald Stanley not guilty in the second-degree murder of 22-year-old Colten Boushie. It read, "My thoughts are with the family of Colten Boushie tonight. I truly feel your pain, and I hear all of your voices. As a country, we can and must do better. I am committed to working every day to ensure justice for all Canadians." That tweet started a hailstorm of criticism over what many are saying is the Liberal government doubting the justice system in this case. For Tom Oldman, he says he's seen injustice for Indigenous people his entire life.
There can be no justice for that young man's family. He could never be brought back here again. And I have to come here today to say shame on Canada. Shame on this justice system.
Many people want to say this isn't about race. They say it was an accident, and then in the same breath, they say he deserved it. Shame. Do you hear yourselves? Shame! Shame! In Saskatchewan, Treaty 6 territory, I come from the land of jails. Prince Albert has 4 jails. And our people are overrepresented. 80% of the people in there are Indigenous. Do you know how many judges in Saskatchewan are Indigenous? 2!
The constituency office for Justice Minister Jody Wilson-Raybould was closed today, but these protesters have vowed to keep Colton's memory alive and continue to demand justice. Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
And we would like to hear what you have to say about this or any other story. Here's how to contact us. Send an email to news@aptn.ca, like our APTN National News Facebook page. Follow us on Twitter @APTN News, or go to our website, aptnnews.ca. Whitehorse also held a rally this afternoon in support of Colten Boushie and the family's fight for justice. Discussion focused on the call for Canadians to learn about their Indigenous neighbours. Shirley McLean was there and interviewed one of the organizers.
I'm down here at the Whitehorse waterfront below the Healing Totem Pole, and with me is Angela Code, one of the organizers for today's rally. Angela, why was it important for you to call for this rally today?
It was important to come together as a community to show our support for one another and also for the Boushie family, because I think, collectively across the country, Indigenous people felt hurt and angry about the outcome of the trial. And it's important to have our allies and fellow Indigenous people to come together and just to say, like, I feel you, and I'm here to help support you.
So when you talk about allies, who are they?
Non-Indigenous people, non-Indigenous Canadians, people who also feel that injustice is not right, and that there should be social equity among our people, our society.
Yeah, you did mention to the crowd that, as a young Indigenous woman, that you have taken on that role of advocating for Indigenous rights, and that it's become tiresome. Why is that?
It's tiresome because there is a lot of ignorance still today, and I think that things are getting better. But it's still, when events like this happen, it just really feels like we still have so much work to do, and it's an uphill battle. And but yeah, sometimes it gets tiring, and it's just good to have that support.
Great. Thank you. And that was Angela Code, one of the organizers of today's rally here in Whitehorse.
And tomorrow we'll put the Gerald Stanley acquittal and the reaction in focus. Join us live on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central for that important conversation. Time now for a quick break, and then we'll get the latest from testimony today in the Raymond Cormier trial. Cormier is facing second-degree murder charges in the death of Tina Fontaine. That and more coming up. Here's a look at Wednesday's weather forecast starting on the East Coast. +2 in Halifax and Charlottetown. -8 for Happy Valley Goose Bay. Snow and 14 below in Inukjuak. A cloudy -4 in Chibougamau. +4 in Montreal. In southern Ontario, +3 in Windsor, Sarnia, and Toronto. Snow and -13 in Big Trout Lake, +1 in Timmins and Thunder Bay. A chilly day in Churchill, sunny and -30. -1 and snow in Gimli Harbor and -1 in Winnipeg as well. Cloudy in parts of Saskatchewan, -1 in Estevan and Regina. Sunny and much cooler in the north, -28 in Stony Rapids, -27 in Uranium City. Welcome back. It was day 11 in the trial for the murder of Tina Fontaine. The 15-year-old was found in the Red River in August 2014. Raymond Cormier is charged with second-degree murder. Holly Moore reports from the Winnipeg Law Courts building.
After a day's break, the trial into the murder of Tina Fontaine continued today. This time, short one juror. Now, just 11 people will decide Raymond Cormier's fate after one was excused for a family emergency. We heard this morning from Ernie DeWolf, a Cormier associate who has appeared in a lot of different testimony. DeWolf says that he heard Cormier say Tina had been taken care of after their argument about a stolen truck and tools, though he later on admitted that he may have been high on cocaine at the time. He said he went to police because a child was involved and that he had morals. Well, the defense immediately demolished that, pulling out a long rap sheet that included sexual assault and aggravated assault. This afternoon, we heard from a man who encountered Tina on the street, gave her a cigarette, and was worried about her because she was out at 11 o'clock at night, alone, nowhere to go. He said as soon as her hand touched that cigarette, she started to cry. We also heard from a DNA specialist, Susan Boris, who works with the RCMP, and she was unable to provide any connection between Cormier and Tina, though she did explain that she wouldn't expect to find a DNA profile on a body that had been in the water that long. A number of hair samples were found from this duvet that Tina was found wrapped in, but none of them were suitable for pulling DNA profiles. This means that there's very little physical evidence that's been presented thus far. Holly Moore, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
The Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls Inquiry hearings are in New Brunswick this week. On Tuesday, elders situated the epidemic of gender-based violence by offering local historical context. APTN's Justin Brake has more.
Thank you for sharing your story.
On a panel that extended into mid-afternoon Tuesday, knowledge keepers explained how the colonization of their traditional unceded lands, coupled with the imposition of colonial values and laws, have stripped people of their identities, divided families and communities, and impeded Mi'kmaq and Wolastoqiyik sovereignty.
We are the lawmakers, we are the life givers, and we understand the land to be part of us. And so now we're operating from somebody's perspectives, someone's values, someone's principles.
As a result, Indigenous women today are left vulnerable and targeted. The elders all pointed to patriarchy as a colonial value that has upended the roles of Mi'kmaq and Wolastoqiyik women in their cultures. For Judy Clark, it came in the form of Indian Act legislation that meant when she married the non-Indigenous man she loved, she would lose status, and any children she had would not be recognized as Indigenous.
And I knew as soon as I said, I do, that I wasn't going to have my status. And some people say, so what difference does it make? It's just a number. But it's also the loss of community. It is the loss of your family.
For Abalasomoes, it was her people's loss of their language and how the colonizers' language had implications for gender roles in Wolastoqiyik culture.
But in our language is Nizwi Dijik, two as one, that you're going to walk together.
The elders said the violence against Mi'kmaq and Wolastoqiyik women can't be addressed without first understanding how women and their crucial roles in their communities and cultures have been undermined by colonialism and patriarchy. Tune in tomorrow as we report on the families' testimonies. Justin Brake, APTN National News, Moncton.
Quebec's inquiry into relations with Indigenous people is back on. For the next 2 weeks, Montreal will be hosting. In light of the Gerald Stanley verdict, participants feel the purpose of the inquiry seems that much more pertinent. Tom Fenario has the story.
I did not want to come here with anger in my heart. But I am angry.
Mohawk Elder Sedalia Fazio was asked to conduct the opening ceremony. But before she did, she made her own impromptu testimony to the Quebec Inquiry.
I didn't know if I was going to be able to do this morning. Because the killing of Colton brought back so many bad memories for me.
Fazio says those memories involve her own son being beaten in the early 90s by Montreal police for shoplifting.
This cannot continue. Our people are not second-class people. We are not garbage to be thrown out.
The theme of police brutality carried over into the morning's first official testimony. It took Kasuluak, a 28-year-old Inuk, had this to say about his treatment at the hands of the Kativik Regional Police.
Police came to my father's place and they pushed me down the stairs and broke my ribs and broke my leg.
Kasuluak is from the Nunavut community of Pervunatuk. He is currently serving 13 months for breaching conditions of parole. Most of his breaches come from drinking alcohol. He says the police repeatedly target him.
Do you have an idea how many breach of condition there were?
I think it's 80 breach.
80?
Yes.
Kasuluak also went on to describe the conditions in the Pervunatuk jail. He testified that he was stripped by police and thrown into a jail cell naked. In February 2016, Quebec's ombudsman released a report condemning how justice is served in Nunavik, including the treatment of prisoners in Pervunatuk's overcrowded jail. The report gave Quebec and the Kativik regional government until the end of 2016 to address these problems. But according to Monday's other witness, many issues still plague the application of justice in Nunavik. Daniel Dufresne is a 23-year-old Inuk from Kuujjuaq, currently an inmate. He says the legal system is still not being sufficiently translated into Inuktitut.
So, I've seen people who don't really understand what's going on, and the lawyer just go ahead with it. So having them being translated would be better, so the accused would be informed of everything.
Quebec's inquiry will continue Tuesday. For many here, its work seems more important than ever.
It may be a hard truth for you to hear, but it is our truth. It is what we live each and every day of our lives.
Tom Fenario, APTN National News, Montreal.
A well-known actress from a beloved television series has passed away. We'll look back on the life of Tina Louise Bomberry after the break. Here's the rest of Wednesday's weather outlook, picking back up in northern Alberta. Sunny and 17 below in High Level. Snow and -1 in Lethbridge, -2 in Medicine Hat. A sunny, warm day for parts of the west coast, +7 in Victoria, Tofino and Campbell River. -13 in Fort St. John and Fort Nelson. A mild day in some parts of Yukon, -7 in Whitehorse, -8 in Beaver Creek. Over to NWT, -23 in Fort Resolution and Yellowknife, -20 in Sax Harbor and Paulatuck on Wednesday. Another frosty day on the way for Nunavut, -37 in Whale Cove and Chesterfield. Even cooler in Repulse Bay at -40, -39 in Joe Haven. The cold spot is Igloolik at -41. Welcome back. One of the actors on the famed television series North of 60 has passed away. Tina Louise Bomberry played Rosie Dila, the owner of Rosie's Restaurant, on 72 episodes between 1992 and 1997.
Rosie, I'm full.
You need your strength.
I need an Alka-Seltzer.
I'm so proud of you, Leon.
Don't, Rosie.
Oh, come on.
Tina is from the Six Nations territory in southern Ontario. She died over the weekend in her home community. Her family has not released any information about her death. Our condolences to Tina Louise's family.
Thanks.
And sadly, news of Tina Louise's passing came on the same day as APTN announced North of 60 will be returning to our network on February 25th. We'll look forward to rewatching all 90 episodes, many of which Tina Louise was in. Such sad news to leave you on tonight. A heavy show and a heavy couple of days, but we're in luck. A new episode of Laughing Drum with Tim Fontaine starts in just a few short minutes. I'm Dennis Ward. Have a great night. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Proud of you, Leon.
Don't, Rosie.
Oh, come on.
Don't pressure me, okay?
Pressure you? I'm just happy for you. We're all happy for you, right? A bowl of soup and a hamburger wants to pay with 100. Albert's a crook and a bootlegger, and you're not backing his tender. Thanks. Really.